Disclaimer: this video is meant to give criticism to the target of this video, as well as entertain an audience. Any jokes I make in this video are nothing more than that. Please do not spam hate comments and or dislikes on the target. So, here's my first attempt at making a commentary, and I decided to start with a video that's easy to pick apart. Criticism is welcome, and I may not take to every criticism of my video. I will at least consider them. I'm sure a lot of you know about this YouTube show called Game Theory. If you're not, it's a series of videos about crafting theories about video games based on the information the games give us and the implications they have. While I'm not really interested in theory crafting, I will have something to say if something's wrong with any materials relating to it. And sometimes Matt comes up with some terrible theory videos. Although the Sans' Nest video has been covered quite a few times, I have my own issues with it, especially since I have played both Undertale and Earthbound. By the way, this video may contain Undertale spoilers. Watch at your own discretion. Also, I'm skipping his intro since it's only to segue into the subject matter and the joke about Sans being named after a font.
One character stood out amongst all the rest, Sans. Skeleton named after the font Thomas Sans, hence all font references at the beginning of the episode. You have Leonard Taylor, has a really weird open. Anyway, Sans is, well, there's a lot of mystery around this guy. Before we get into it, we put a very special spoiler warning. Undertale is the game's best experience alive. So if you haven't played it, pause the video and come back after you finish. I promise you won't regret it. Alright, so everyone out of the pool and ready for the adult swim? Good. I'm feeling predetermined to get to the bottom of Sans' mystery. So just to recap, those of you who haven't played the game and more the spoiler warning or just need a refresher. Sans is one of the two skeletal brothers who appear in the game. His partner is Papyrus, a loud, goofy trap lover also named after a font. But in terms of Undertale, their origins are a big question mark. All we really know is us given to us by a shopkeeper in Snowden, who explains that Sans and Papyrus both just showed up one day and asserted themselves. Weird, right? What's more is that while Papyrus is just kind of a goofy sidekick, Sans is much more complex. Sure, he likes fart jokes, he's also incredibly powerful and deadly serious. Not only is his boss battle hardest in the game, he's one of the only characters who have knowledge and power over space and time. He also takes shortcuts around the world through ridiculous routes, even walking through walls. He also acknowledges that he's only one of infinite versions of himself, making self-aware commentary of the various timelines that you've played through in the game. He can even count the number of times he's killed you.
Sans actually doesn't remember previous timelines. He's just very good at guessing what's going on by reading the behaviors and the expression of the player character. He counts how many kills by looking at your expression. So essentially, he doesn't know what happened in the previous timeline.
Well, the idea that he doesn't belong in Underworld seems to be correct. The evidence seems to point to the fact that he was, in fact, formerly a surface dweller. In the true pacifist ending of the game, as the group looks out onto the horizon, Papyrus asks Sans about the giant ball in the sky. Sans says, quote, "We call that the sun." This is important because A, the usage of the word we and knowledge of the sun shows that Sans has a kinship or knowledge with other humans, and B, that despite he and Papyrus both being skeletons, are supposedly brothers, and apparently appeared in Underworld at the same time, they clearly have two very different histories. Why would Papyrus not know the name of the sun, but Sans would?
Actually, it's pretty clear that much of human culture has found its way into the underground, and that plenty of monsters consume human-made media. Alfie's watching anime and robot animations, and reading manga is a clear example of that. Papyrus's lack of knowledge of the sun is easily explained by him stating that he doesn't like anime and cartoons, thinking that they're for babies, which makes the later statement he said even funnier. Matt continues bringing up so-called evidence that Sans is from the surface, which I actually don't have much else to say about. So, skipping.
Sans has a hidden workshop that takes a fair amount of searching to find. You could say it takes a lot of determination to unlock. Anyway, Blade determination references aside, if you start to look for the Easter eggs, Sans gives you a key to his room with words, "It's time you learn truth." After some searching, you find a workshop which contains items that leave even more questions. A photo album featuring Sans and a bunch of smiling people you don't recognize, a badge, blueprints with legible handwriting, and a broken machine hidden behind a curtain. In the latest update, one more detail was added: hand-drawn picture of 3 smiling faces with the words "Don't forget." So what's it all mean? Well, a lot of Undertale theorists have been linking these details to a mysterious figure named W.D. Gaster.
I'm skipping the Gaster segment because it's irrelevant and I have nothing to say. I only included the previous segments so that Matt can segue to his point.
None of the Gaster theories I've seen have been able to explain all the details, in particular the photo album and the badge. And that's what kept nagging me as I researched Undertale. A badge? That one in particular really stuck out to me. Why would such an oddly specific item be included in this huge Easter egg of a room? Something that supposedly reveals the truth about Sans. Badges just aren't important in Undertale. And then it hit me. What if it wasn't from Undertale?
What?
What if this badge was from a completely different game and was, in fact, the most important badge in the history of gaming? The Franklin badge.
You'd better have some strong supporting evidence. Does he? No. He doesn't even try, meaning that he pulled this out of his ass. And that isn't his only ass pull. For any of you who don't know what the Franklin badge is, it's an item in Earthbound that reflects any electric attacks directed at whoever is carrying it in their inventory. This is the only needed explanation, so I'm skipping Matt's explanation.
So I asked myself, what if the badge in Sans' drawer was that exact badge? Well, first off, it'd make Undertale connected to my favorite game, thereby making it even cooler.
Matt, your fanboyism is showing. This line actually sums up a huge problem with this video. You're clearly too much into the idea of Undertale and Earthbound being connected to think about this rationally. I know that Toby Fox is a fan of Earthbound and that Undertale is inspired by Earthbound, but that's the only connection between the two games.
Let me tell you, as I started looking, more and more pieces started to fit into place.
It's more like you started with your conclusion and looked for evidence, or more likely, you pulled it out of your ass.
At the end of Earthbound, you're given a photo album covering your adventures throughout the game.
I'm skipping his photo album segment because he's going to claim that it's the album in Sans' secret room, which is in reality another ass pull. Why do I think it's an ass pull? Well, it's the non-defense of the claim.
Of course you don't know them, they're not characters present in Undertale. And note the word that's used here, people you don't recognize, not underworld monsters.
For fuck's sake, I shouldn't have to tell you that the underground monsters are seen as people by the player character, since you can only get to it by doing the pacifist route. You should know better, Matt. I call it a non-defense because it's not even a bad defense.
Select two items oddly linked to the Mother series, then how the blueprints and broken machine fit in. How the monsters Earthbound, Ness's three friends must travel to the past in order to have their final battle against the evil alien Gaius. To do that, Dr. Andonuts. Remember him, by the way, he's gonna be important later. With the help of the science geniuses Apple Kid and Mr. Saturn, create what's known as the Phase Distorter, a machine that allows people to travel through time and space. Except, it comes with a cost. It can't transport organic material.
Remember this statement. This'll bite him in the ass later. He's also ignoring the fact that Andonuts also explains why it can't. We'll also go into said explanation later.
As a result, the young heroes must put their souls into robotic bodies to use the machine and thus save the world. I played this game back in 1997, and I'm not ashamed to admit, when I first saw this scene, I cried. It's devastating. Dr. Andonuts says goodbye to his son. These characters that you've grown to love and care about are suddenly promising to sacrifice their lives. For all they know, there's no possibility of them being able to come back home. This incredibly dark departure in the final moments of what was otherwise a fun, quirky, and colorful RPG. What all this have to do with Undertale? A lot, actually. But the first thing you need to know is that Mr. Saturns are known for their, let's say, unique linguistic style. That would explain the illegible handwriting on the blueprints.
Maybe Sans just has bad handwriting. Or whoever wrote it has bad handwriting.
And the machine? I think a broken Phase Distorter is behind that curtain. Now that may seem like a stretch, but it actually explains a lot.
Actually, it explains jack shit. And I'll let Matt talk before I explain why.
If Sans wound up in Underworld via a Phase Distorter, it could provide a reason for why he's a skeleton. He used the machine as organic matter and suffered the consequences.
First off, bones are organic matter. Have you forgotten about your high school biology class? Also, Andonuts actually explains why it cannot transport organic matter. It kills organic matter being transported within it. Sans would be dead if he used the Phase Distorter as organic matter. Secondly, you're also implying that Sans, or well, Ness, since you think Sans is Ness, is a moron, because you don't even explain why he would use the Phase Distorter as organic matter in the first place. Also, I'm skipping the rest of this segment. as his trying to draw more parallels between Undertale and Earthbound, which, even if were true, would prove absolutely nothing.
During one of the endings of Undertale, we see Undyne and Alphys hanging out on the beach on the surface world. A beach that shares a lot of similarities to the tropical resort location named Summers that you play through in Earthbound.
Yeah, because nobody ever references other people's work.
In fact, the geographic layout of the surface bears some striking similarities to the world of Mother. When Undertale's crew of monsters are finally able to reach the surface and look out over the earth, they're met with a beautiful sunset falling across a landscape of a tall mountain, a large city, and a sandy area adjacent to water. Notice the sun's reflection to indicate water and a lack of trees in this middle section here, hence the sand. Well, in Earthbound, you have the big city of Fourside, complete with skyscrapers, which you reach via a desert that just so happens to be adjacent to some water, and to the east, the mountain in Onetz, where a meteorite lands on Earth.
Ignoring that it could be a reference, ignoring that you have the directions wrong in Undertale, since you see all of that in relation to the sunset, then yeah, they totally take place in the same world.
The strongest physical connection, the one that definitely unites these two franchises, comes from none other than Papyrus himself. He wears a custom-made costume known as his battle body, but if you look really closely at the design of the armor, you'll notice some markings on the chest. Is it just a throwaway detail? Oh no! That right there is an exact match to the ones that appear on the chests of Starman, the most iconic enemy of Earthbound.
It's called a reference, you retard. Haven't you heard about references? References!
And look at the way he stands. I always thought it was awkward until I looked at the two characters side by side. Papyrus's curved arm and hand is a direct match to the curved arms of the Starman in the Mother series.
Matt, you are full of shit because they don't even look close. You are outright lying. You are grounded. Go to your room and think about what you've done. It's bad enough that you excluded Andonut's explanation of why the phase disorder can't transport organic matter. Now you are telling an obvious lie to your audience's faces.
In short, we have some incredibly strong proof that the Earthbound universe is somehow connected to the Undertale world.
Not even under the loosest definition of strong possible.
Which brings us back to our initial question. Who is Sans? Well, what if we took it one final step and said that Sans happened to be Ness from Earthbound?
How about no?
Sent through the phase distorter during a test of courage, carrying the Franklin badge and his photo album in his trusty backpack. Not only do all the items in the workshop suddenly fit, but so does Sans' behavior. Remember, Sans can seemingly teleport, and Ness just so happens to have the PSI ability to teleport.
Matt, you're once again being intellectually dishonest. You're excluding the fact that their teleports work in different ways. Ness can't just teleport on the spot. He needs a sort of running start. Sans, well, he actually can. While he usually teleports off screen, he has shown that he can teleport on the spot during the genocide route.
Now look at the way Sans always stands. Hands in his pockets, directly facing the camera. It's a very similar stance to how Ness is depicted standing in most marketing for the game.
Matt, you're seriously grasping at straws. I shouldn't have to explain what's wrong with this statement, but I will anyway so that people don't jump on me for it. Lots of people stand like that, even I do sometimes. And I'm skipping the rest of his video because it's pointless, because he tries referencing Toby's previous, in my mentioned disowned, work, the Halloween hack. Not to mention that recycling ideas and assets is not anything new in the video game industry. However, I want to bring up something before I go into my final thoughts.
But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory.
This is Matt just saying that what he says is not fact and undisputable truth. Anyone who uses this to shield Matt from criticism should stop doing that because it doesn't excuse this train wreck of a video. It can also be interpreted as him addressing people that would be holding what he said as fact. He's saying that you shouldn't. So, now for my final thoughts. Matt, I notice a pattern with your usual bad theory videos in that you seem to start with your conclusion, then try to find evidence for it. Ask any skeptic and or person who responds to creationist videos to see why it's a problem. Rather than trying to prove a conclusion you have already decided, you should let your information guide you to a conclusion. This is part of why some of your videos fall under a critical lens, because you either ignore context or nuances to whatever you're trying to use as evidence to these theories. At worst, you start quote mining. And trust me, any skeptic worth their salt hates it when someone quote mines. In short, Matt, you need to change how you're going about these theories if you want to get out of this decline in quality of your content. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as said earlier, I'm open to criticism. This is Tyler Golden Yoshi, signing off.